Prologue: a person is running across a huge flat black area, facing the ground. He turns around and lifts his head, where you see many pigmen. The sentry pigmen, he whispers, then turns to see next to them a brown and green T-Rex. He turns to the brown one and whispers loudly, "No, Branchy, not you too." He keeps running until he reaches an about 10-block wide crevice that leads down to lava surrounded by obsidian, of course, and soul sand / things like it. Then you hear a deep laughing voice. "No, and new," the person says, and at the end of the crevice there is a small, bridge-like structure with a figure standing on it, where the voice is supposedly coming from. Some unmade dialogue is exchanged, ending with the words from the deep voice, "Now die, * dinosaur person." "No," the person yells. Then there's an explosion and the person falls into the crevice and screaming dies. Episode 1: The chest flames of the crescent moon. The 7/8 human 1/8 Enderman wakes up and walks out of his tiny, unbelievably beaten up makeshift hut that is only about 4x4 blocks on the inside, and stretches. He walks over to a village about 70 blocks away called Fog Creek. He walked inside the first house and greets a villager named Idhath. You find out that Idhath and his dad that died about 16 years ago were both archaeologists. His mother is also dead, so Idhath half raised him, Fog Creek a tiny bit raised him, and the rest he raised himself, and that today he was appointed to open the chest. He opens it and doesn't really know what most of it is. He takes it back to Idhath and learns that his father brought prehistoric creatures back to life and that he must make a zoo of prehistoric creatures, Prehistoric Zoo. He then goes to bed. Episode 2: The mysterious visitor. In this episode, Estes, a mysterious visitor that comes to Fog Creek and only talks to Priest Paul, now in control of Fog Creek, on private business every several years to a few decades. That last came 9 years ago, and lives in a small weird-looking house, comes to Fog Creek. Episode 3: Planning. He plans. Episode 4: Placement. He gets stuff, and Supreme blah 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 signs a treaty with Priest Paul so the village is under his control. The co-master died years ago. Episode 5: Framing. He builds a frame of the zoo. Episode 6: Mammal DNA. He gets 2 mammoth and a Smilodon DNA. Episode 7: Moonfang. Part 1: Flmes goes to Fog Creek and sees that the houses are ready. Much progress has come to the house of Supreme blah blah executive blah blah blah. People have put up more Halloween decorations, and overnight a sign appeared on his test stairs saying, "Remember the rest was in an unintelligible language." Anything mysterious that appeared on or near Estes' house happens overnight. He then goes to Idhath, who is exercising, returns the book, Reviving Prehistoric Animals, and gets a book on Smilodons, and reads partway through it. Episode 7: Moonfang. Part 2. In this episode, the book randomly disappears and Flmes gets a black sheep and tries to get him to his headquarters, but it dies, so he gets a pigeon instead. The pig gives birth to Moonfang, Flmes' first prehistoric creature, a Smilodon, a white one, and names him Moonfang. After he cuts out private time with Moonfang, he goes and works on the gate. It ends with him getting biofossils for fossil models for the gate. Episode 8: Halloween. In this episode, Flmes gets the statues on his gate and goes to bed. The next day is Halloween. He gets up and waits until night. Then he goes and trick-or-treats for a few houses when, by complete coincidence, tons of zombies and even 3 witches come and try to break down the door of the house with the most villagers in it. There are normal zombies, a zombie with a pumpkin on his head, a zombie with a jack-o'-lantern on its head, baby zombies, and even a zombie dressed in full gold armor. He makes a chest plate, goes into fight and almost succeeds when a creeper blows up and he falls unconscious. He wakes up again and falls asleep in Idhath's bed. It was the worst Halloween he'd ever had. Episode 9: The Coming of Supreme Archexecutive of blah blah blah. Part 1. In this very short episode, Flmes doesn't really do anything but return to headquarters and put a stone tablet on the wall. Episode 9: The Coming of Supreme Archexecutive of blah blah blah. Part 2. This episode starts with Flmes looking at the sign on the Thog Creek post saying that SAOBBB has arrived. He then goes and sees SAOBBB and he asks Flmes a favor: to destroy the desert temple that is in his way of building. After admiring the stuff, Flmes agrees to, as long as he can keep the stuff he finds inside. Before he destroys it, he goes and meets the new people who have moved in the first houses that were built: Mr. He, Okad, and Perry. He then goes and raids the temple, getting many treasures, including 5 diamonds and diamond horse armor, and then starts to explode it. Episode 9: The Coming of Supreme Archexecutive of blah blah blah. Part 3. In this very short episode, Flmes explodes most of the temple and flattens out the rest. Episode 10: More framing. In this episode, Flmes tells SAOBBB what he has done and works a bit on the zoo floors.